All right, here we are on day 2. I do believe that out of all the classes, you guys have probably the most pressure. Why? Because you have university acceptances that you're working towards. You know that we have a deadline coming up next week, I believe, that we have to submit your midterm marks for. And then those midterm marks, as for many of you, will determine whether or not you get into your program of choice. Many of the classes, the first week has been about just kind of easing into it and looking at what we did the week before, and then starting most of the new learning, if there's going to be any, next week. But with you guys, because we did not get a chance to complete our evaluation before the break, we are completing it now. And then this evaluation will be the end of Unit 2, and we'll have 2 units of work to get an average and determine your grade. So, I think next week will be more fun for all of you because there'll be definitely less stress. I know that as you guys complete your Mida poster, figure out how to maneuver around it, look at the tips I gave you yesterday, I think that many of you are probably working towards that. Having said that, I do want to establish what the pattern is going to look like for the remainder of the next 2 months, I guess, and get you into some familiarity with the layout of our learning. So I have the Padlet up here, and I'd ask that each of you share something that you've been doing over the past 3 weeks. And you do have some very interesting stories here. I have been baking bread for quite a while. I buy most of my bread, but occasionally, the impulse, it comes over at me, and I have to put all those ingredients, the flour and the milk powder and a little bit of honey and of course the yeast, and let it rise and see what happens. But really, this bread, that is, I think, a classic, traditional, perfect loaf. And I could see that you're quite proud of it as well. And I see some of you are practicing your artistic skills. Well, it's really nice to see. I have no artistic ability whatsoever. I think I've demonstrated my ability to draw a fish for you. And many of you have commented it looked like a cow or something like that. So clearly, I'm not one really to comment. I love wings. So when I looked at this, I just stared at it for a little while. So thank you for sharing that. One of my favorite books. The series is not done, so I typically reserve my list of absolute favorite number 1, 2, 3, and 4 until the series is done. But this is an amazing series. I really am enjoying it. And the 4th book of the series is going to be coming out in November. The author wrote 19,000 words in 24 hours as a marathon on January 31st of 2019 in order to finish the series, the book, and get it published for 2020. So it's pretty remarkable. He's a great author. I even recognize who this person is. Who is that? Okay. And you said that your cake didn't turn out very well. I think it looked pretty good. Look at the flowers on there. I couldn't design anything like that. If I did that, it would be like a little blob. Maybe that's not the best compliment comparing you to me, but I thought you did a pretty good job. I definitely want to eat some. I like how some of you are using the social media posts to be inspired to make up your own drinks. I am not a coffee drinker, so I can't really say that I would want to drink it, but I'm sure that I hope it was tasty. And cats, really? I thought that was just a cliche, but I guess maybe it is true. Maybe some people are spending a lot of time looking at cats online. So thank you for sharing. There's still a few people who have not, and hopefully everybody will share a little bit of their story of what they have been doing. And as we move forward, each day of the week, what's going to happen for me is I'm going to release, Mr. Desage and we're going to release your work for the week on day 1. So Mondays for most weeks. Next week will be Tuesday because of the holiday. And you'll have the entire week to budget your time. So if you want to do everything on one day, go ahead. If you want to spread it out over the 5 days or 4 days if it's a short week, then that's your prerogative as well. We're here and available. We do not know how we're going to answer questions directly apart from using Google Docs and chat boards somewhere, I guess, discussion forums. Hopefully we'll get to a place where we can do something a little bit more engaging and innovative in terms of our communication back and forth. But until then, we'll use what we have. Because all your work is being released on one day, I do want to make sure that you do have some engagement for the rest of the week. So I will establish a pattern. I'm going to describe it to you now so you know what's going to happen. Typically on Tuesdays, I'm going to give you a challenge question. Now for you this week, I know you guys are working towards your Mito Poster interview, the evaluation this week, so you might just ignore all of these, which is fine. I'm just going to share with you what I'm doing, the grade 11 or grade 10 activities. And so it's not new things I'm creating for you, but I would like you to have the opportunity, if you'd like, to be engaged in a conversation. Because really, since we are not together in a classroom, we want to make sure we have ways to build community. So on Tuesdays, there'll be a challenge question. So you'll see a Google Doc. The Google Doc will look something like this, and there'll be a question. And when you answer this question, you can say, yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. That's perfectly fine. If you would like to actually have a longer response, that's a paragraph or something like that, that's perfectly fine as well. This is not being assessed, and these weekly questions won't be assessed. They're just to engage you in the learning process and to think beyond the basically the strict concepts of the course. So that will be open for you. This one is about tracking and how various companies are sending the information, user data that you have on your phones to the government or to somebody, and then they're determining whether or not you are abiding by the quarantine, lockdown, whatever has been instituted by the organizations or the government. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and that's there for you to read and respond to if you'd like. But I know that many of you are working on other things. Maybe as a break, you might come on here, and I think it's an interesting discussion. It's the kind of thing that I would stop class for 2 or 3 minutes and pose a question to you if we were face to face. On Wednesdays, I'm going to call that Wild Wednesdays. Wednesdays, I'm going to do a live stream from my YouTube channel, and I'm going to go into my zoo room, and each week I'll pick a different animal. It might be a chameleon this week, it might be a ball python the next, an axolotl, a scary looking tarantula, who knows. And while I'm live streaming, you can ask questions, ask me to do something with it. They don't do tricks. None of my animals do tricks. And sometimes I'll go outside and use some of the nature examples that are out in the field, some field biology studies, and I'm able to do that because I do live outside the city, so it makes it a little bit easier. That'll be Wednesdays. Thursdays will be a game or a puzzle. It might be an anagram or solving a clue or an internet search, some kind of game or puzzle. And then Fridays, at the end of each week, there'll be an assessment of some sort. This assessment might be in the form of a Padlet, like we had just done a moment ago, where you're just sharing a major idea you learned. It might be a word cloud, where you're putting on a keyword that really resounded with you for the week. It might be an actual D2L quiz. For the grade 12s, you're more likely to get these D2L quizzes. It might be a quizzes, a Kahoot. There's so many different options I could have. I can't list them all. But on the Fridays, at the end of the week, there'll be something. This week, there isn't that pattern. First of all, we end on Thursday, and you have the major evaluation. So this is a high stakes test evaluation interview that we're doing over the next couple of days. So you did receive, hopefully by now, the email that Mr. Desange posted up on the Google Classroom indicating that we are no longer using Discord. We are not allowed. We will be using the phone. I have your phone numbers that you guys wrote down for me at the beginning of the year. That's the phone number I will be using. And if that's not accurate, then be sure to send it to me so I do have the right phone. I'm going to call you at around your interview time. Please be ready about a half an hour early still, because if I'm running ahead, then I'll call ahead. You should have your poster uploaded to Jamboard, or there's other options as well, but Jamboard is the one that I know will work. There's another thing called Explain Everything that works really well, and it's actually a better program, but I know that Jamboard should work for everybody. And my suggestion for Jamboard is that you upload it today. Or if you don't upload it, just share your Jamboard. Create a Jamboard and share it with myself or Mr. Desange today. Because when you're doing it at the moment, there sometimes is an overwhelming demand in that registry, and it takes a little while for it to click in. So if you share the Jamboard today, even though you don't have anything in it, at least tomorrow when we go to connect, then it will work immediately. You just have to put on your Mito poster, and remember that I suggested you do little chunks so you can zoom into pieces, because you can't zoom with Jamboard, unfortunately. So do create your Jamboard today and then we can use that tomorrow with less technical difficulties. If there are some technical difficulties arise, we'll figure it out. Okay. Please do look at the review, look at the tips. We are not trying to hide anything or make it difficult. We want to make it as easy as possible, but still relevant, and still have some rigor in what we're testing. Okay. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. Just send us an email or use a Google Doc, and we'll be in touch.